Made my ex a shirt. He was ungrateful. I fixed it. So back in the 70 seconds, I was married to this absolute nightmare of a man named Rick. Picture the worst husband you can imagine, then multiply that by 10. Nothing I ever did was good enough for this guy. I'd clean the house top to bottom, and he'd find dust on one shelf and lose his mind. I'd make his favorite dinner, and he'd complain the chicken was too dry. And when he really got mad, things would get physical. I had a 4-month-old daughter at the time, so I just kept trying to keep the peace. Do whatever it took to avoid setting him off, you know? Christmas was coming up, and I had zero money. Like literally zero. Rick controlled everything. The bank account, the credit cards, all of it. I wasn't allowed to spend a dime without his permission, but I had saved up some birthday money from my mom, maybe 30 bucks total, and I really wanted to get him something nice for Christmas. Maybe if I made him happy, he'd be nicer to me and the baby. I decided to make him a shirt. We're talking full disco era here. I'm gonna make this man the most amazing polyester shirt with the pointy collar and everything. Lots of fancy stitching, the whole deal. Every morning after Rick left for work, I'd pull out my sewing machine and work for hours, measuring his favorite dress shirt to get the size perfect. Then I'd hide everything before he got home and pretend I'd been cleaning all day. This took me weeks. I'm talking about hand-stitching details, making sure every seam was perfect. I even drove to 3 different fabric stores to find the exact right shade of blue because it was his favorite color. Christmas morning finally comes. I wrap up this shirt like it's the crown jewels. I'm so excited and nervous watching him open it. He pulls it out of the box and his face actually lights up. For a second, I think I nailed it. He likes the color, likes the style. He's nodding and saying it looks professional. Then he tries it on. And the first words out of his mouth are, "The sleeves are way too short. I can't wear this." I'm standing there in shock. I go, "But honey, I measured your favorite dress shirt exactly. These sleeves are the same length." And this man looks at me dead serious and says, "Yeah, those sleeves are too short too. That's why I always have to roll them up. You should have known that." Then he literally throws the shirt back in the box like it's garbage. I'm standing there on Christmas morning, watching weeks of my work get tossed aside because I didn't read his mind about sleeve length. But I don't say anything because I learned not to argue with Rick. The next day, I drive back to the fabric store with my last $5. Thankfully, they still had a tiny bit of the same fabric left on the bolt, just barely enough. I spent the entire next week ripping out those sleeves and making new ones. Do you know how hard it is to remove sleeves without damaging the rest of the shirt? It's basically surgery. But here's where I got my revenge. Instead of making the sleeves just a little bit longer, I made them 3 inches too long. 3 full inches. When Rick tried on the finished shirt, those sleeves hung past his wrists, like he was wearing his dad's clothes. But I just stood there with the sweetest smile and asked how they looked. And you know what this man said? "Thanks, honey. Much better." He actually wore that shirt to work, had to roll up the cuffs like he was doing yard work, but he never complained because he was too proud to admit I'd made them too long after throwing such a fit about them being too short. Every time I saw him in that ridiculous shirt with the giant rolled up cuffs, I got this amazing feeling of satisfaction. 3 months later, I filed for divorce.